SEC, FINRA, DOL, oh my. As your industry changes, so does your technology. And as your technology software company at Redtail, we understand that you now have 3 regulatory agencies harping over your every single move. And for some of you, it's 4 because some of you have your broker dealer watching as well. So we understand that now more than ever, compliance is the most important thing that we need to get down with our offices and make sure that every single person understands and is implementing those best practices to make sure that we are in good standing with those regulatory agencies. So in regards to the DOL, we did implement some new stuff to go ahead and address those changes that were passed. The first thing that we went ahead and implemented was a BICE date. So I'm going to click on the recently viewed icon up here in the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to click on our good friend, Doc Emmett Brown. And if I go to accounts over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to be able to find that new BICE date that we added. So if I go ahead and click on one of these accounts, you'll notice right underneath the additional information, you do have these BICE dates that are now available. So that's one thing that we implemented brand new to the CRM to go ahead and address that change. But in addition to those BICE dates, we also added some fiduciary reports. So if I click on reports on the left-hand side, I'm going to go ahead and select on fiduciary reports. It's kind of here in the middle of the list, and you now have 2 reports that are going to complement that change. So let's go ahead and dive in and show you exactly what we mean with each one and how to use it for best practices. So I'm going to go back to the BICE dates and start there. So remember, to get to the BICE dates, you want to go to the account section of a contact record. For me, I'm going to go to Doc Brown again, and since I was just on his record, I can click on this recently viewed icon again. And then I can go ahead and select on the record here for Doc Emmett Brown. And remember, it is in the account section, so I'm going to go ahead and select on accounts here on the left-hand side. So I went to a contact record, and now I'm going to select on accounts. And you'll notice he has 4 different accounts here. You know, one of them is an IRA, so I'm just going to choose on that specific account. All right, now here for the BICE dates, I'm going to go ahead and select Add in the top right-hand corner. And according to Investopedia.com, BICE allows the advisor to still receive that commission if they enter a contractual agreement stating that he or she will act in the best interest of the client and avoid any misrepresentation of the options. So if you want to leave your business as is and you want to maybe continue to receive those trails or something like that, then you want to go ahead and have your client sign this BICE agreement, which is just standing for Best Interest Contract Expiration. So we're going to go ahead and go into a contractual agreement with Emmett Brown, and I'm going to go ahead and be able to put in the date that I sent this to Doc Brown and the date it was signed. So let's go ahead and say that we sent it to him a week ago, and it took him a week to go ahead and review the documents, sign it, and get it back to us. So today was actually the day that he signed it and got it back to us. Then we can go ahead and put in that, you know, the date was signed today, and you'll notice that next due automatically populated. I didn't press anything to go ahead and put in that next due date. All I did was I put in the date signed, and then it automatically provided me with the next due date. So all of the things that I'm going to be talking about today is very dependent on this good, clean data of going into the specific account that is under the BICE agreement and adjusting these dates. So that way I don't have to remember out of 300 clients which client is due in July of 2018, which one is due in May of 2018. If I'm populating these areas, the database is going to help me at least remember where everyone is in that process. So this is the first thing that I wanted to show you. If this is the option for you, then like I said, the CRM can house that signature date to show in an audit or to just remember the next time a BICE is needed. So remember that this is done on an individual account basis. If there was another account that qualified for this BICE agreement, then I would have to click on that other account and go ahead and put in that specific BICE date. Now you might be thinking that, instead of housing it on the actual account, you might rather prefer it be housed on the actual contact record. And that is an option as well. However, it is going to be more of a manual process. And what I mean by that is if I click on UDFs here on the left-hand side, then I can go ahead and make my own user-defined fields. So maybe in addition to having that information housed on the account side, I also want it housed on the overall contact record. Then I can go ahead and create a user-defined field that says BICE date, and then I can go ahead and put in that date. So if that's an option that you want to take part of, you're going to want to first click on your name in the top right-hand corner and go down to Manage Your Account. So if I click on my name in the top right-hand corner and I go to Manage Your Account, you're going to want to go all the way down to the bottom. This area is exclusive to admins only, so if someone does have admin access, you can ask them to go ahead and add this. But specifically, we're going to look for Manage Database Lists. So here on the second option is Manage Database Lists. And on the right-hand side, you'll see all of the lists that you can go ahead and customize. So if I want to go ahead and customize a new user-defined field, I'm going to click User-Defined Fields here on the right-hand side. And then if I click Add in the top right-hand corner, I can go ahead and create that BICE date that I wanted to add on the overall contact record. Now for field type, you can go ahead and add in any text, but we did just add this ability to use a date picker. So I think this is a great implementation of using that date picker, is if you wanted to go ahead and house that BICE date on the overall contact record. So the first step to do that was we went ahead and added that user-defined field to the database. So now I can go back to Doc Brown's record and add in that user-defined field. So I'm going to go back to this person saying, help me or pay attention to me up here in the top right-hand corner. And I'm going to go back to Doc Brown's record. And then if I go back to more on the left-hand side, the option here that says UDFs is what I'm looking for. And I can go ahead and add in that new UDF that I just added called BICE date. And then I can go ahead and choose that date. So I'm going to mirror this date to match the date that is on the account side. So then I can go ahead and have it on both the account record and on the contact record. So this is an option for you. In my opinion, it's kind of redundant because you already have that BICE date on the account side, but it's definitely okay to have it on both the contact record overall page and on the individual account page. So keep that in mind. So now that you have all of that BICE information taken care of, you went ahead and added the BICE date on the contact record, and you went ahead and went to accounts and added the BICE date on the individual IRA account. The next thing that we did to go ahead and address the changes was we added the fiduciary reports. So to get to the reports, once again, I'm going to go to reports on the left-hand side. And once you click reports on the left-hand side, you're going to be looking for fiduciary reports. So if you click on reports, click on fiduciary reports, you're going to have two different options here. The first one says no contact, and the second one says client summary. Now I'm going to go ahead and start with the client summary because there's some things that I want to point out here. First of all, if I scroll down this list, you'll notice this is a very, very small list of clients. Like we have 300 clients in our database, but I want to say that there's only like 10 to 15 clients in this specific report. So I think the next question is how does a client get into this report? Why is Richard Williamson in this report and Emmett Brown isn't in this report? And the reason why a client will get put into this report is if and only if they have a tax qualified account. So you'll notice they have one tax qualified account on this specific client. So that's why they are entered into this report. But if I scroll up this list, there's no Doc Brown here. There's Bruce Wayne, there's Anthony Stark, there's Daniel Ocean, there's Henry Jones, but I don't see Doc Brown in here. So if you do have a client that does meet this BICE agreement criteria, or they do meet this DOL criteria, you want to make sure that you go into their record and you mark an account as tax qualified, because that's the only way they're going to get into this report. So in order to have an accurate report, you have to mark tax qualified. So where is that tax qualified option? Let's go back into Doc Brown's record. I'm going to go back to the recently viewed. And I'm going to go back to Doc Brown's record here. And if I go ahead and go back to accounts, if there was an account here marked as tax qualified, just how this option says linked account, it would say tax qualified. So in order to find that tax qualified area, you want to click on this action button to the left of an actual account. And if you click on that action icon, you're going to want to go ahead and select edit account. So we're going to click on that action icon and we're going to click edit account. Now, if you click on edit account, you're going to have these options on the right hand side that I want to draw your attention to, and it's tax qualified and tax qualified type. So if you want Doc Brown to be in that client summary report, you need to go into his record, click on accounts, click edit an account, and go ahead and check off this box. So remember, this is a manual thing that you have to do. You have to put in the front end work of marking those clients that are under this criteria as tax qualified. So that way when you click on that fiduciary report, it's an accurate report and it's not just missing 100 people that should be in there. So if you dedicate the front end work and you go ahead and go into those individual account records and you mark those records as tax qualified, you can even designate, the tax qualified type. So we'll go ahead and say that's a traditional IRA. And you'll notice, like I said, there's going to be a flag here. So on the overall account summary page, you're going to have a distinction here that says Yes, indeed, this is a tax qualified account. So now, if I go back to reports on the left-hand side, and I go back to those fiduciary reports, and I go back to the client summary report that I was on, then I can go ahead and do a Control F, and I can go ahead and type in Emmett's name, and you'll notice he is in this report now. So I had to go and manually add that tax qualified checkbox for him to appear in this report. Now, I do want to mention that we are in the process of boosting our account feeds so that this data may feed over in the future. So right now, this front end work is really, really important, but we do hope that one day when we do get all of the information for the account balance and the symbols and all of that, that tax qualified information will also be fed over as well, and it'll be automatic instead of manual. But like I said, for right now, that front end work is very, very important to go ahead and get an accurate report here. So now that you have tax qualified marked off, and now that Doc Brown is in this account or this client summary report, you can go ahead and see on, a bird's eye view of all of the clients that are affected by the ruling and see if you need to get any signatures still. Maybe people are due for their next agreement. So you can go ahead and scroll through here and see what information is there and see what information is missing. Now you'll notice there are these buttons here on the left-hand side of the accounts, and those are going to symbolize your account types. So we do have, BA in here for brokerage account. There's TL in here for term life. If there is an OO, that means it's other. And then 44, I saw one up here. 44, that is standing for 401k. And it's even taking custom types into account as well. Like KI, this is a kidnapping insurance that we just made up in the system. So you will have those buttons next to those accounts to kind of symbolize the account types. But here, like I said, at a bird's eye view, you can see all those clients affected. You can see if their agreements have been sent, signed, and when their next due agreement is. But I'm going to say it again, it's super ultra dependent on clean data. So you have to make sure that your accounts are marked as tax qualified in order for this accurate or this report to be accurate. Now, going back to reports on the left-hand side, I'm going to go back to fiduciary report, and let's go ahead and choose the last report that we want to go ahead and point out here, and that is no contact. So to get here, you want to click reports on the left-hand side, fiduciary reports, and then we'll click on no contact. Now, the no contact report is awesome in my opinion because it's great to know we talked to Emmett yesterday and, Bruce Wayne is coming in for a meeting next week. But what about the opposite? What about those clients we haven't had communication with in X amount of days? Well, that's exactly what this no contact report does. Is it's taking those clients that were in the client summary report that have that tax qualified distinction, and it's putting them into this report based on a number of days that you haven't added any notes or any activities to. So this report is also super dependent on clean data. If you're not in the habit of adding notes into your system, then this report wouldn't be accurate either. But if you are adding in notes every time you talk to a client, you are adding in activities every time you're having a meeting, then this report will show you clients that you haven't had communication with in those X amount of days. And if you want to know where the X amount of days is coming from, then you're going to want to click on Filter up here in the top right-hand corner. So in the top right-hand corner up here, I'm going to click on Filter. And right now, by default, this report is showing everyone I haven't had any notes or activities to in 90 days. So if I want to go ahead and say, 90 days is too soon. If I talked to them 90 days ago, that's totally fine. I personally want to see people I haven't talked to in a year because then I'm running into compliance risk. So if you want to see people you haven't talked to in a year, we can go ahead and choose 365 days. And then we'll go ahead and apply this filter, and it'll go ahead and isolate this list to those contacts we haven't had communication with in 365 days. So I think this is a great call list. We can use this to go ahead and click on Paul, get his number, call him, add in a note when we talk to him, and then he'll be removed from this report. And then we'll go to the next one. We might call Candy next, get her on the phone, add in a note, and then remove her from this list. So this report is great to go ahead and see those contacts you haven't had communication with. Maybe it's a good call list for you to go ahead and just reach out and let them know what's going on. I feel like a lot of people that end up here are those people that are silently loyal. They are great clients. They come in once a year for a review, but other than that, they don't really ask for much. So even just reaching out and just asking, hey, how are things going? Do you need anything? Might add to that relationship building for you. So these are the two reports that are brand new that came with that fiduciary change. They're both going to be dependent on clean data. This one that I'm on right now is dependent on adding notes and activities. And the client summary report that we just viewed earlier is ultra dependent on having that tax qualified box checked off. But now that you have the BICE date information saved, you have it either housed on the account side or you have it housed on the overall contact record. And now that you know that you have these reports that are available, some other things that I want to point out is that you can actually do something with these clients in these reports by using this search button. So maybe you just wanted to send a quick email to these clients, or you wanted to, add a note to all 3 of their records at once, letting the database know that you talked to them. Then you can go ahead and click on search in that top right-hand corner, and then you can check off all of their names using this top checkbox on the left-hand side. And as soon as you check off that top checkbox or any names, you're going to have these contact options appear. So maybe you want to go ahead and send something through the postal service. You can send a mail merge. Maybe you want to run a specific report or an Excel document. You can click on reports or exports. But more than likely, you're going to be selecting on bulk actions. So then you can, either add an activity to them in mass, add or send a broadcast email to all of them, or maybe you want to go ahead and add a note to them. Then you can go ahead and select on add note and go ahead and type in that note that applies. But I think that that's the easiest way, is to go ahead and run that report first. So I'm going to go back to reports. I'm going to go back to fiduciary reports, but this time I'm going to do the client summary report because maybe I want to send a broadcast email to all of these clients affected by the DOL, letting them know of my fiduciary status. Then I could go ahead and run this client summary report because remember, all the clients here would have that tax qualified box checked off. And then I can go ahead and select on search in the top right-hand corner. And then I'll check off that top checkbox, go over to contact options, down to bulk actions, and then with one click, I could go ahead and select broadcast email and choose to send one single email to all of these clients. So you can make email templates, if you're finding that you're sending this fiduciary oath all the time, then you can go ahead and create it as a template. So that way I could just click on that email template of fiduciary oath, and then I can just review this email for accuracy and send it out to my clients. Now, what's great with broadcast emails is you can customize them. So instead of saying, dear friend, or instead of saying, dear valued client, we can go ahead and customize this message so that way it pulls in every single person's name into the message. So to do this, you're going to want to use this hashtag structure that we have at Redtail. It's available on our help desk, but essentially you can do this hashtag first name, hashtag, and it'll go ahead and pull in every single person's first name into the message. So that way it's not like 17 other people are receiving the same message, but it really feels personal. Feels like I'm the only one that's receiving this, and you sent this just to me. And what I find that offices love using this broadcast email feature for is the ability to save a copy as a note. So here at the bottom left-hand corner, you'll notice you have this save copy as a note option. So I do have the ability to go ahead and send out this message to the 17 people, but also save a note on all 17 of those records as well, just kind of creating that historical record of what I just did. So remember that you can do something with those clients by sending them to the search. You do always have the option to go ahead and run your own search up here, because maybe you just wanted to pull up your retirement clients or something like that. You might want to go ahead and run a specific search for that. But I think a best practice would be to just work out of that report, use that send to search option, and then you have all of those clients that are affected in the search area, and then you can do something with those clients using the contact options. So it's really important to mention that today was just an introduction to the tools and the capabilities. We hope to continue to add more and more addressing this topic to make your life easier. And what I mean by that is if I go back to reports on the left-hand side, and I click on fiduciary reports, and I go back to that client summary report, soon you'll be able to filter these by states. You'll be able to report on them, search on them, and even export them in a custom export. So that way you can go ahead and, order them by date or see which ones are expiring soon. So know that those things are in the pipeline, and this class today was just an introduction to the tool. There is still going to be more to come. If you have any questions, feel free to give our team a call at 800-206-5030, and that's option 3 for support. But otherwise, I want to thank everyone so much for their time today and wish everyone a great rest of the day. Thank you and take care.